Now today was a very interesting review of the 330ci E46. Now I drove this back to back with my E46 M3 and the question arose, do you really need an E46 M3? Is it really worth 10 times the price? Here we go.
Welcome everyone to the cheapest 330ci in the country. My friend Mike picked this up for, what was it, £1,100, Mike?
1,100 quid, yeah.
£1,100. So the 330 was an update on the 328 in 2001, and they bumped the power to 225.
I think it's 232.
232?
I think it's 232.
Oh really?
Yeah, 228. Oh, it's 231 PS.
Oh right, okay. Does anyone know the difference between PS and HP? No one. It's made up, that's why. You can't beat that flat straight six, sorry. Now this is the first time I've driven his car, and I just jumped out of the M3. Now the M3 definitely has stiffer suspension, however, the M3 suspension is very stiff. Now this definitely has like nice road feel. It's not soft. And there's no sixth gear, so so when you try and go into sixth, it goes into fourth. For just over £1,000, I think nearly everything works.
Rear right window switch is broken, that's it.
There we go. This M54 is one of the smoothest engines you'll find in any car, I think even today. You can hardly tell that it's idling. Alright, let's see what it's got from zero. That's 6,500 revs, red line. Super linear.
The brakes are very warped, as you can probably see.
Yeah, brakes a little warped. Now the steering feels really similar to the M3. And what have you got on this? 17s?
17s, yeah.
There's a bit more tyre flex. This is an SE, so the 17s was standard, and then 18s. I guess you got on the what's your extra or M Sport package.
The non-330s came with 16s as well, little snowflake wheels.
Oh really?
Yeah.
The pedal position, the pedal box is exactly the same as the M3 as well. I can't tell any difference. Heel and toe is still perfect, really. They are canted over to the right slightly. The Germans still can't get it as good as the Japanese can, but it's still really nice. Super responsive throttle. It's gorgeous.
I think something you'd really notice if you're really pushing it, that open diff is very open.
Yeah, well, as open diffs go, yeah. Is the most open diff you can get.
Yep.
One tyre fire all day long. Slightly heavy flywheel, but that's to be expected. It's very refined. Compared to the E46, it's definitely more grown up this. It's not as raw. The sound deadening is definitely better. Have you had this on the motorway, Mike?
Yeah, only for about 5 minutes.
Oh really?
Yeah, and it was lovely.
Because I bet this cruiser is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to an E36 as well.
Yeah. The only catch with it is because it's a coupe, it has no pillar along the top of the door.
Yes.
So there's a lot of wind noise if you really listen to it.
Yeah. And that I've got the same on the M3.
Yeah, of course.
And BMs, especially E46s, this trim piece to the wind blocker, I don't know what it's called. They come off, and mine fell off on the E46, and then you can glue them back on. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but we just passed the horse and cart. Reliability wise, I think you've had this heating issue with this car, which if anyone's owned a BM of this era knows they love to overheat.
Cooling system as a whole is horrible.
They've never managed to get the cooling system right. 36, 46, always the same issue. we put a new thermostat in, coolant flush. Mike put a new rad in.
New fan as well.
New fan. And it looked like the main issue was the thermostat had gone. So not a huge job. There's a video on that coming, so you can see how to do that. Especially on these 330s, they come with an electric fan and not a viscous one like the M3 or any of the old E46s. So super easy to get out. It's literally 2 bolts and it comes out. Gearbox got some play in it. It's the bushings need doing, but, and again, BMW don't make the best gearboxes. I really don't like the M3 one, and this one's, to be honest, it's almost exactly the same.
I should probably mention to the audience that it's on 182,000 miles.
Yeah, as Mike said, it's 182,000 miles, so you can forgive it for a few flaws. But for 182,000, it pulls so sweet, and there's no knocks or bangs from the suspension. It's, I mean, a testament. Now I haven't looked up how practical the like boot capacity on this is, like all the other videos I've done, but I will show you here how many litres the boot are, or the boot has. But generally the boot's good size. You can fold the rear seats down as well, so you can put long things in. There's not much, I guess, in this category for £1,000 that you're going to get that can, well, you might be able to find something more practical, like I was saying, a Mondeo, but front wheel drive, it's completely different gravy, exactly. Now what things do you think as a competitor to this? What have you got? Alpha 156?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Class,
What's that? C-Class, exactly. C-Class of the time, 2004, but what engine would you even get in that? You've got the V6 3.2, which is less horsepower than this. Again, if anyone's driven an Audi of that period, the engines are slung so far forward, they understeer like crazy and into any corner, and they're so muted to drive. You can still feel this is a rear-wheel drive car, whereas the Audis would only come in four-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. Well, the suspension's super compliant, and you can feel like running on the 17s, definitely, you can feel like the slip angle when you turn as well, but it makes it, especially for our crappy B roads in England, it makes it almost quicker because you don't have any tramming, and you can really just get it over the bumps, and it's playful because of it as well. And this is SE suspension, you're saying, Mike? It's not even the M Sport suspension.
Well, I've been in a few SEs and they're a lot softer than this normally.
So someone might have put some slightly something nice on the suspension. Well, it's had a few lifetimes worth to go through something. Yeah, as we were saying, the downfalls to this car, I guess, look, E46 and 36s, the engines themselves are near bulletproof. I mean, you could run this on nearly no oil and it will keep running. They really are bulletproof. Some of the auxiliaries, they tend to go, but generally they're just, these straight sixes are probably the pinnacle of BMW engineering, in my personal opinion. The bodywork, yeah, they go. So they rust around all the arches. The seals don't seem too bad, but they can go too. And M3s and 330s, they crack the boot floor, no an issue. For an M3, it's worth repairing. For £1,000 330, I think just keep going and enjoy yourself. I think if you can find one of these, I mean, Mike managed to get this, I mean, let's be honest, incredibly cheap, but I think you can find one for £2,500, and I don't think there's many things that can compete with this at that level. So we're in the Swiss Alps of Surrey.
Have a look at the drop on the left here.
Yeah, that is a death drop.
Yeah, you write your car up down and yourself.
Oh. What is he beeping at us?
You're right there.
There's an MR2, if anyone saw that, who's angry. See, MR2 drivers are angry.
Horrible people. He's literally on our side of the road.
Completely, I know.
It's not knocking, is it? It's actually knocking, isn't it?
You know what, let's
go.
Luckily for Mike, the issue didn't come back, so we think it's just a piece of plastic trim. He's done many, many happy miles since.
Oh, you're a bit anxious now.
Well, imagine if I
blow up my engine. That'd be funny. That'd be a good life story.
That would be. I blow up my mate's car.
Yeah.
A good end to the review.
Yeah, just gassing how nice this car is.
Sick car, but it does blow up. You can buy a 330 for £1,000 and it doesn't knock. Because M54s don't blow up. Famous last words, right? Bang! If you've got an M3 and you're like me, anxious, especially as the prices are going up, and you want something to rag about or put some bucket seats in,
this is
get a 330 as well.
Such a better deal. Such a better deal.
But say if you went to buy an M3 right now, it's 10k.
Of that caliber?
Yeah,
15.
Well,
15
yeah.
easily.
But just say 10k for an M3. And you can pick this up, say you spent even £2,000, right?
Yeah.
Is this 5 times worse than an M3? No way. It's just the value for money is incredible, and as you say, like, I accidentally just knocked Mike's door into post, and he didn't care, because it's the paintwork's not amazing, and the car doesn't owe him anything.
Nothing. Well, £1,000.
Well,
get 20 back in scrap value, like you
yeah,
said.
exactly. 800 quid in it, and you've done like coming up to 1,000 miles in it.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure it'll do a few thousand more, no problem, if you wanted to. You know what's really nice? Second gear, and you're around the 3,000 RPM mark, and then you just, that's lovely. That's so nice. And even though this is a fly-by-wire, it's because it's NA, it's instant. That's the other thing about a 46. The community's huge, the forums are massive.
The one thing you haven't touched on, the price difference in maintenance on an M3 compared to this. Oh my
yes,
God.
very, very
it's
true.
It's night and day, it's planet, mate.
Just as a quick example on that, I had to do the track rods on the silver one, and the track rods, just aftermarket track rods on a 330 were £50 for a pair. £50, so 25 quid per corner. The cheapest I could find for the M3 were £188. So you definitely pay M tax on certain parts. But the other benefit of an M3, which the Porsche doesn't have, is standard stuff like lights, interior. We were saying with Mike, the interior on this is almost identical to an M3. Apart from the seats and the dials and the gear knob, I genuinely think it's the same. I don't think there's anything else to it. I mean, how do we conclude this? You need something practical, you don't want a 2-seater sports car, and you don't have more than £2,000 to spend. 330.
Yeah.
330 coupe, 330, I mean 4-door if you can find one. Yeah, I agree, Saloon is the one. But even a coupe, I mean there's nothing that can match this in this price range. So, hope you enjoyed the review. Go get yourself a 330 if you don't already have one, before the prices go up and they tax us out of London and we can't drive these cars anymore as well. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you did. Take it easy. Alright, do you think we can take the Tesla?